Hey, how's it going? And today I just wanted to do a quick update regarding the XA11 camera. I had just posted kind of a video on a walkthrough of it. In that video I talked about it seems like a camera you can just pick up and start shooting with, but I said probably need 2 to 4 hours out in the field playing around with it to get familiar with it, and I think that's really true because when I was out yesterday, unfortunately it was an incredibly hot day and I had hoped to get some footage outdoors, but it was so hot it just wasn't in the card. From that experience, I'm gonna just go over a couple additional things that I think is important for you to realize. So if you're outdoors, like on a bright day, you're not going to be able to use this too much. You're not going to be able to see it. So you're basically stuck looking through this viewfinder, which is fine. It's perfectly acceptable. That's what you'd have to do on a lot of cameras. You'd need some kind of way to see the camera where the light's blocked out. But then it basically forces you into the viewfinder, and then you have to use this toggle switch, which, to be honest with you, takes a little practice to get used to navigating with. So that was a delay that happened as I got outside. I had to shoot through here, view through here, and then I was having to navigate with the toggle, and it was just taking me 5 to 10 minutes longer as I was melting. So I just said, well, I'm not gonna do that. What became apparent to me in shooting with the camera the other day is that on the Aperture, I'll move in closer. Let me shift position here, hold on. Okay, so what became apparent to me yesterday when I was shooting, and I hadn't really thought about this before, if you come in here, and I'm looking at the XA11's focused on some objects on the kitchen table. I'm going to shoot some sample footage to show you. If you come in here and you go to function, and you go into record program, and then you go into manual, which I'm always shooting on manual, you'll notice your aperture, well actually to be honest with you, what I learned is that you're gonna, if you're shooting outside on a bright day and you're in manual, you're gonna have to put the ND filters on. So anyway, I didn't really fully appreciate that until yesterday. So if I go into menu, you'll see down here, it's under the camera tab where it says ND filter. I'm gonna turn it off for right now. But you're going to have to turn that on. In other words, it's going to be too bright because we go in here and let's look at the aperture on this. It goes all the way down to, look at that f. It's apparently a variable aperture, so the aperture goes to f1.8, that's wide open. And then if we come up, look at this. It only goes to f8. So basically you've got, normally when I'm outside, some of my cameras will go to f22, and between that I don't need to use an ND filter. But with an aperture between f8 and f1.8, it's wide open outdoors in the daylight, and you're going to have to put the ND filter on. So that kind of threw me off my game a little bit. I didn't realize it only went up to f8. I thought it went to f22 for some reason. But so that basically means you have to come into function menu, and if you're outside, you have to enable the ND filters. Otherwise, everything's going to be blown out. And the other thing I wanted to kind of walk back is I was joking around in the last video because I believe in putting everything on manual, because I believe that's your job as the camera operator, is to know the camera, to know your aperture, your f-stops, to know the sweet spots, to know how to do white balance, how to get a proper exposure, about mixed lighting and all that. I believe I never shoot with anything in auto. So I was joking on this camera that unless you were drunk or psychotic not to put it in auto mode, but with that said, let me put it on auto mode. When I was outdoors the other day, look at that, in auto, it looks perfect. So I guess you could put it in auto and just shoot if you had to. I mean, if you just want to go that way, just go that way. But I could tell, the other thing about this camera is on the viewfinder, it is a what you see is what you get WYSIWYG, so you don't really use an external monitor, although this monitor is hard to see, it's kind of small, the screen. What you see is what you get, so if something looks dark on the viewfinder, it probably is going to be dark on the screen and when you view back. So what you see is what you get as far as your exposure goes. So you can set the zebra here to 70%, and that basically shows you the areas of your scene that are at risk of blowing out so that you can do something about it. I've done other videos about what I call highlight management. That's also true with the GH5 camera, is highlight management. So it's no different with this camera. So you might want to put the zebras on 70%, just so you're kind of aware of what so let's go ahead and record this. So this is on auto. So I'm recording this right now, and then I'll play this back for you as part of the sample footage. So this will be the XA11 shooting in auto mode. And then we'll run that up against me shooting in manual mode. Like I said, I was going to shoot outside, but it's honestly too hot out there. But I just wanted to post this update that auto mode is okay, especially if you're new to the camera and fumbling around. Also, because you have such a wide open aperture and it doesn't really stop down past f8, you're going to need to use ND filters when you're shooting outside. So you're going to need to enable those. So it's just in that setting I showed you. Of course, you're going to have to be in the viewfinder, the external viewfinder, and toggle through the menu because you won't be able to see. The other thing I noticed is, let's say, I'm going to turn this off now. Let's say you do want to be in manual focus and you're outside. Oh, see, it's on. I got to put it back into manual mode now. So see, when you're on manual, it's, you know, it's that's life in the big city, right? So you got to figure out why is it so dark. Obviously, I have the ND filters enabled right now, so I'm indoors, so I wouldn't need those enabled. So I can turn those off. It's hard to hit some of these buttons sometimes. Turn it off. I can tell I need to open up my aperture now to come in here, manual, and see we're at f8. So just open up our aperture. And then I'll get very close. I haven't set the white balance on this yet, so that's the only thing that I would do different probably than what the auto mode is doing. So I'll also shoot some test footage of this exact same scene but in manual. So anyway, but yeah, so if you're outside, you're going to have the ND filters on, the aperture's too wide open at f8, and then you're going to have to look through the viewfinder and use that toggle switch. So what I said earlier stands. It takes about 2 to 4 hours to get familiar with the camera. There was somebody that posted online saying that the footage that they got from the camera was atrocious. I simply don't buy that. I feel that it's a perfectly good camera. The sensor is the sensor. It's all zeros and ones. The rest is up to you as far as I'm concerned. And it's a Canon glass. I think Canon makes good lenses, so I don't know why somebody wouldn't be able to get good footage out of this camera. And so I'll shoot some more test footage in a couple days to show you that, to make the case for that. And the audio too. I'll do a sample upload of the audio too, to show you that there's nothing wrong with this camera. It's perfectly capable. It is a little, I don't know, I want to say it's a little quirky. Every camera is, and it's going to take you some practice to get fluent with navigating. Oh, what I was going to say was, so when I was outside, and let's say you wanted to do manual focus, if we go out of this screen here, you go into function, we go into focus. The problem, one of the little things I noticed is, let's say you go focus and you want to use the screen. If you're looking through the viewfinder, well, you can't really see the screen that well, so it's a little bit of a difficult to use this system of focus outside because you have to flip open the screen. If you're outside, you can't really see, so you'd almost have to guess kind of where you were focusing in on. But then that aspect of manual focus using this system here is kind of conflicts with using the viewfinder because you'd have to open this screen, then you can't see through the external viewfinder. So this system of focusing outside is difficult on a bright sunny day. It can be done, it's just a little funky. So you'd have to use the ring to manually focus looking through the external viewfinder. Using this would be more difficult outside on a sunny day. And that's all I had today. I hope you find this helpful. Take care, have a great day, and stay cool.